But we're not done with the regular season, Sottle. We got one more match left to go.
We certainly do, and it is going to be Jarla versus RDU, which is our final remaining game in Division B. And I think these are two players that I am personally a big fan of. RDU, just for his longevity in the game, I think he's one of the few players who you can wind all the way back to 2014, 2015, and he was competing at the highest level back then. And through the, 4, 5 different format changes we've had since then, he has continued to compete at the top level through each and every one of them. How many players are on that list?
Not very many of them.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm going to even touch on that further to another point where in the first year for the World Championship, he's from Romania. Romania was ineligible to compete then. And I firmly believe he would have found himself in that spot because in 2014, he was a cut above, I think, the rest of the players from the region.
I think it's a very reasonable assertion, yeah. And then just to touch on Jarla, I think I've personally made it very clear, how much respect I have for him as a player. I personally felt quite bad. He was part of an HGG team alongside Stan Sivka. And Stan Sivka was getting a lot of the plaudits. There's kind of this story about how Stan was leading the team and he was having to approve every single decision that was being made before it happened. And personally, I just felt that took a lot away from the brilliance of Jarla, who I think was on Stan Sivka's level, if not better, at the time.
Yeah, I definitely can agree with that. Stan Sivka was quite a brilliant player, but from what I've seen from Jarla, it's been that exact same thing. I think he's played quite strongly with it. We can now take a look at the deck list and see how they'll be piloting this one and what some game plans are. Jarla has brought Warrior with him this week, and he's brought the Elix with him. We've talked a lot about the Elix in and out of the deck, and I think in this matchup, they offer some feast or famine potential, given that RDU has brought Rogue, and thus the Eviscerate and Vendetta implications that a 3-mana 3/4 can have. But overall, that's some of the stuff you need against Rogue. You need plays that can get on board and make trades.
Yeah, and I definitely bow to your expertise when it comes to Bomb Warrior. It's one of my least played decks and one of your most, so I definitely trust your opinions on how to put this thing together. But it definitely looks like we're going to be primary all the way when it comes to this matchup that we're going to see against RDU's Rogue.
Yep, and he's brought the deck list that Sato really likes. Not necessarily in card choice, but in appearance of card choice.
In philosophy, yes. 2 of the good cards plus legendaries. You can decide what you think the good cards are, just make that decision.
He's made that decision.
Sure has.
What do you think of his decision?
Eviscerate, Novice Engineer, 2 of each in place of Saps, and what would be another one-of that would come in that scenario? I guess there isn't one, right? You just generally play 3 of the one-ofs alongside a Sea Giant, I guess, then comes in alongside that. So yeah, I think this makes sense. I think Eviscerate is definitely up there. Personally, very early on in the metagame, when the mages were a lot greedier and kind of Dragon Mage related, I felt like Double Sap was the way to go in that spot, but maybe Eviscerate is just a more flexible card these days. Although my experience with the deck has been staring at Eviscerate on a lot of turns and thinking, this isn't quite the card it used to be. Like, I was always happy to have this card in my hand playing Rogue historically. These days, I don't know whether it's the lack of prep for like huge tempo plays in the deck. It just doesn't quite feel to be the show-stealing card that it used to be.
I think part of it's the dynamic of the minions. Minions now are largely, their effect is generated immediately.
That's fair. That is actually very fair, yeah. I think back in the day, you would just see, someone would play a Knife Juggler, and if you had to eviscerate it, you had to eviscerate it.
Yeah.
Fine, you move on with your life. It's very different when your opponent plays a 1/1 and gets a free Knife Juggler out of it instead. That's a very different equation in terms of eviscerating that minion.
Spy with my eye, backstab Coin Edwin. I also spy with my eye an armor up shield slam trade. So one of the reasons why Eternium Rover is so good versus Rogue is stop stuff like this. But RDU, I think, is committed to going for play in this situation. Oh, he doesn't even have to trade.
Not
oh
even
my
a trade.
gosh.
It's not even a trade. Let's get smoked. 6.
That visual is just so satisfying to me. Nice draw for RDU. That was very needed. Doesn't necessarily have to play it this turn, but he's just going to need stuff that gets stuff. right back.
Again. Does that change my mind? I don't think that changes my mind.
No, I want a shield slam. Edwin's gone.
So if you don't shield slam and your opponent plays Spirit of the Shark, you still have the full clear on the following turn. If your opponent plays any 3 health minion, you still have the full clear on the following turn. Change my mind. I don't want to shield slam it. I think you almost always get a clean Dynamatic on the following turn anyway.
That's exactly what Jarla's thinking about.
What now? I must choose.
Makes a lot of sense. It's tough for RDU to have multiple things here.
Yeah, what does he play? He plays a Life Drinker, a Hench Clan Burglar, or a Spirit of the Shark.
Excellent spot.
All of which have 3 health.
Wow, I wonder if that means he's supposed to dagger instead of the Blink Fox?
On the previous turn?
Yeah.
Or where he played the Blink Fox? Yeah.
Weird.
We're getting real deep now. Rebuke. Well, one of the cards offered was Dr. Boom's scheme, so you can discount that one straight away. You're not taking that.
Yeah.
That is one of the worst Hearthstone cards ever printed.
I've tried so hard. I'll tell you where it's actually specifically good. Bomb Warrior mirror matches. I'm not even kidding. I have gained like 19 armor from that card so many times.
I hate you so much.
It's the only spot I have found that it's of any use whatsoever. Not in a single other matchup have I ever had that card and gone, this isn't that bad.
Snip, snap, snip, snap kind of turn?
Separation versus stacking them, I think, is the question. But yeah, it's definitely a double snip, snap turn.
0 saps in RDU's deck. Worth considering in the spot. Interesting. Why the separation? I was definitely leaning towards the stack myself.
I think just more attacks. You're looking at Dr. Boom in hand as well, so if you need to just, poke a thing and then poke a thing and then have all 4 of them run across, that works. If you have a 4/6, it's much harder to kill off and then utilize the 1/1s.
Okay.
Jarla, I think, has shown a focus on battling for tempo when he believes he needs to battle for tempo, and not so much as turning the corner quite as aggressively.
To no good.
That smile on the portrait, I don't think is what RDU has right now.
Yeah, he's doing his best to try and fight back onto this board, but he's lost so much tempo early on to the curve from Jarla. No Sea Giants in RDU's deck to take advantage of this position.
I'm so
And just not generating any pressure to be able to put Jarla off, dropping Dr. Boom on 7.
No. I think this is even option for Jarla.
Option meaning push
Base.
4?
Yeah. I think if you want to, yeah. His hand is just so good for this stage. Like, you have, like, nigh infinite health.
This would be a good time for
And
a
each one of these cuts
plan.
hurts more and more.
Dominance asserted.
Rightfully so.
I hope you like my invention.
Even that wasn't really a fear, right? If Togwaggle started in the hand, it didn't make a huge amount of difference because RDU was on 7, and Jarla knows that he has 1 lackey remaining in hand anyway, so he wouldn't even be shutting down that possibility by trading.
Just has to stop. Just has to stop the bleeding.
Yep. If he'd have picked Dr. Boom's scheme, he could have like 3 more armor this turn.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant specifically in Bomb Warrior mirror matches. not ever in Rogue versus Bomb Warrior off of a random
No,
discovery.
you said you were very clear the first time. You said
Okay.
that. That's fine.
I just wanted to clarify that. There's no world where he picks Dr. Boom's scheme. And if the world crops up where he's supposed to pick Dr. Boom's scheme, that's just unlucky.
Okay,
It's
then.
not a mistake. Why am I so mad about it? I don't even understand why.
I am also unclear about why you are defending yourself from a position you didn't take in the first place.
I feel like you were... Well, I did mention the Bomb Warrior thing, so...
Yeah.
I don't know, I felt like you were taking a jab at me.
Nope.
Rightfully so.
When I'm taking a jab at you, Admirable, you know about it.
Okay, Shadow Step interests me now. We had a Lackey live. We could Shadow Step the Heist Baron. The curiosity to me is going to be draws versus legendaries. Now, my experience has been seeing people grab draw and go for an aggressive push. I don't think that potential's there for RDU this game. Like, I think he needs to find a way to start overloading the position. It tells me in my head that he needs to draw Shark. And you also have Rebuke for the legendaries. I think Crown has a lot of merit in this spot. Maybe the first one's Wondrous Wand to find a Shark so that you could double up on the Heist Baron. If you even Shadow Step. It's Jarla's turn 9, so Shadow Step's harder.
Yeah, it's kind of what I wanted to address because it is a 5-5. And he's saying he wants to, you know, find some way to overload to fight for board. Keeping a 5-5 in play is one way to do that without having to summon random legendaries.
Sort of my question, I guess, is just, is it enough?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. Sorry, that was not yes, it is enough. That is, yes, I agree, that is a good question.
RDU wasn't convinced, and frankly, neither was I.
Yeah, I think it's very fair. But I also do lean towards the wand because, as far as I'm aware, he's under a surprisingly low amount of bomb pressure this game for a Bomb Warrior game. So it's one of the few times he is kind of free to just go digging without taking huge amounts of damage.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, no Wrench Caliber showed up. No Augmented Elic shenanigans.
He's just been getting hit by minions.
That Rebuke actually might just be super clutch this game.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
Protocol 7 engaged.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
Are you actually starting to turn a corner here?
Oh,
Very much starting to turn a corner now.
that is massive.
Corner has turned. He has hit the apex on the perfect racing line, and he has powered out. The corner is well and truly turned.
I'm just not even sure how to use this Shark at this point. Like, I'm looking at the amount of damage from hand with Kobold and with Life Drinker. Shark with that is 10. Leroy 16. 20 with the Waggle Pick. 22 with what's on board. 26 with the Eviscerate. Did I count the Eviscerate yet?
Maybe. Gonna be honest, I stopped listening. I just believed that you had it.
A lot of damage.
I had faith in you.
Well, that was your first mistake.
You're right.
If he's rumbling for board, that means he's playing the Togwaggle.
Yep. Agreed. And now I think Crown definitely starts to have some merits. There's one, there is two, yeah. And from this point, I like the way RDU has played this. I definitely agree with the first one being wand, and I definitely lent towards Crowns of those additional ones.
Yeah, this was very smart, I think.
My only issue with this is how hard he's played into 5-path on turn 10.
I think that's the idea. Your opponent doesn't develop anything, they miss their hero power, and then you reload with Crowns and Rebuke.
Sure.
The Rebuke,
Okay,
though,
yeah, I keep forgetting to factor in the Rebuke. You're right.
Well, the Rebuke makes the Brawls still cost 10, so they're still playable.
Yeah.
So maybe, the Crown is piece by piece. Maybe you wait a little bit longer and see if you could get some Waggle Pick value here.
Like, ideal world, I think that board that RDU just lost, he would have liked to have forced a brawl, and then he can really feel like he can commit to these crowns just as hard as possible. And the fact that it ends up dying to the warpath, I think just gives him just so much less security in being able to just fully swag out onto the board.
No shuffle effects available, so attack, I think, is off the table. Bigger is better.
The big one. It's considering the fact that he has a waggle pick in play and what, you know, potentially bouncing a Geppetto back to his hand means for his long-term game
I think
plan.
bouncing an Alexstrasza back looks great.
I think it does too. Oh, he's actually just going to go ahead and do it.
You get to play it. Shadow steps it.
I know.
That's awesome. I'm very interested in dealing 15 extra damage.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait a minute.
See, this is why I look puzzled when he said he can play it. It's like, well, why would you? It's just inefficient compared to other things you can do.
The big one.
Yes. Now you just have lethal represented, because then you Alexstrasza them down next turn. You have Leroy Eviscerate to back that up.
The problem is those little 1/1s. Yeah, there's not really much thought here.
66%. RDU lands a minion.
Oh!
He does not.
Back to square one.
He can just deal, what is that, 8, 12, 13 on top of this from hand this turn.
Pretty interested in both Blink Fox and SI7 Agent here. I think I'm more interested in the damage. I just played an Alexstrasza. And Jarla draws a corrupted blood right away.
I was about to say, we mentioned RDU hadn't been under bomb pressure, but he suddenly was under bomb pressure of his own fruition, but it's Jarla who draws the blood first.
Okay, then.
Everything is deeply unpleasant this turn.
Yes, very.
Just looking at turns, trying to suggest something, nothing leaps out. The Ziliax is the most just generically good thing that he can do, but it's just so underwhelming compared to the amount of pressure he's facing down.
Yeah, it's quite underwhelming.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
You have to just try and win another brawl at some point.
And he has a clear with the Dynamatic.
Does he?
There's 3 1/1s into 3/3.
Oh yeah, you literally just trade all 3 off.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
I
right.
think this is a much better situation because he needs to get RDU under pressure. Taking that 3 damage.
Yeah, I
for
think it's great recognition.
Base is better. Shark, Life Drinker.
9, 15, 19.
2,
Is it
like
lethal?
23 damage?
I think it's lethal, right? 6 from the Life Drinker, 6 from the Leroy, 4 from the Eviscerate, that's already 16, 19 with just the SI on board. Haven't even counted Dagger yet. Yep, he's good.
Wow. That Alexstrasza discovery was critical.
It was.
And what a payoff he got with it, too. Recognizing that setting up damage in play in multiple situations put his opponent under more pressure, so Jarla was forced to brawl in that instance. And if RDU won the brawl at all, the game ended.
Yes.
Because he's able to Alexstrasza in the same turn with the extra damage because of the Wondrous Wand. Wondrous Wand first into the double crown from the Shark. Brilliant play.
Yep, I'll have the sequencing throughout from RDU. I liked Wand first, double crown afterward. I like the Shadow Step turn on further reflection, and I think his endgame sequencing setup was pretty nice because, as you said, he put himself in a position by playing the second crown, getting extra minions in play, he gave himself a 66% chance to win that brawl that ends the game, whereas if he goes the other way around by just replaying Alexstrasza, not only does he front load less damage in the world where Brawl isn't the answer and something else wacky is, but he then only has a 50-50 to then win that eventual Brawl that ends the game.
Indeed.
It didn't pan out immediately, but it was that pressure that he was then eventually able to capitalize on.
Alexstrasza equals good card. Maybe that's one of the cards you should be bringing in from the side. Who knows?
Thought about it. I think when we had a little burst of the OTK Shivala Paladin, it was something that I considered sitting at home about how to get through the Warrior matchup sometimes, is play a copy of Alexstrasza in there.
It's interesting to me. But we got to go to a quick break. RDU's got some stuff in the sideboard. I'm sorry, side deck he's going to be looking for. Jarla, meantime, he does not. So he's going to be sticking on that main 30 that's there. After the break, it's going to be perhaps the conclusion in one single game to our first season of the European Grandmasters. Stay tuned, because America's coming up after that as well.
Darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tomb, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism. But this league's gonna save the world.
Welcome back to the Tavern. We are in our sixth and final match of the regular season here for Hearthstone European Grandmasters. And that's admirable. I'm joined by Sottle. And Sottle, right now, RDU has a 1-0 lead with some great endgame aggression that he set up.
He does, and now both of these players have a trick or two up their sleeves. RDU, from his part, is going with the Togwaggle Scheme route, which is something we've debated a lot in terms of how to tech your rogue deck. You see those two copies of Togwaggle Scheme coming in, allowing you to pick a nice, juicy minion, be it the ideal target of the Heist Baron Togwaggle, or just something a little more creative to set up alternate win conditions like Leroy Jenkins if it gets that far into the game. We've seen Snip Snaps even be an option from Frozen in the Americas region But alongside that, he is packing the Cairn Bloodhoof and the Heist Baron Hawkeye.
Indeed, and Jarla does not have a secondary or tertiary deck that is dedicated
Oh, I'm
to Rogue.
sorry, my mistake.
What was that?
I said both players had tricks up their sleeves. They
Oh.
do not.
Well, the trick up Jarla's sleeve is that he's, you know, gonna.
Just really good at Warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
Wrench Caliber's very good in this matchup.
Yes.
You really want it early. Like,
Yeah.
You saw the struggles of him just not having bombs. Like, that changed the whole game from Jarla's perspective.
Yeah, and Wrench Caliber in itself is a really powerful 1-2 punch because we debated on that Shield Slam turn how easily manipulable it is that on turn 4, a rogue almost always plays a 3 health minion of some variety. So when you have Wrench Caliber available to you, you get that 1-2 punch of being able to eliminate just about everything they're going to play for the coming turns while also setting up a pressure plan for yourself with those bombs going into the deck.
Look at how RDU has kept a Vendetta in hand. The dynamic of the matchup, I feel like, has drastically changed, where instead of trying to be the aggressor, RDU now has a supplemental plan if he's able to contain the pressure instead.
Right.
Oh, I thought you were going to expand on that, which I guess you did just as we looked at the deck list. Touche.
I think you put it very succinctly and no follow-up was required. Wrench Caliber has been found this time for Jarla. Very, very different looking hand, and honestly, a hand that fits that description you gave, where he now wants to play the aggressor against this kind of infinite value variation of Rogue. It's the one problem that it does run into. It's the one problem why whenever there's a card that's come out that's, you know, expensive and greedy for Rogue, the people have been like, yes, is this finally the time for Control Rogue? You just always have to ask that question, how are you restoring health? Because that is a thing that really just compounds as the game goes on. Quest Rogue is the one deck that we've really seen consistently be able to go to those late game scenarios as a late game Rogue deck because they just had those Vicious Scale Hides available to restore so much health.
It is kind of weird to me that without Vicious Scale Hide, that deck was just not the same.
No.
Wow, weird. I never really thought about that.
Yeah. I ran the numbers once. I think it was turn 17 of Fatigue you could go to against Warrior just by doing the infinite Zola Scale Hide loop. If you got to that point with Valera, you could go to turn 17 and still win against Control Warrior.
That's insane.
Sorry, turn 17 into Fatigue, I should say.
Yeah, Jarla, a much more aggressive hand in this one. And for RDU, this is pretty much the exact opposite of what he wanted to see. He wanted a nice slow-paced game where they play a minion, you kill it with Vendetta, you maybe use a Waggle Pick. Instead, it's just 5 attack on board. I have to Waggle Pick or I'm going to die. And Jarla's not slowing down. Jarla, I think, is looking towards specifically turn 6, but now that the Blastmaster Boom shows up, the double snip-snap with the coin looks a little bit worse. So
yes.
I'm curious about actually just jamming down a Militia Commander in this spot or preloading the Wrench Caliber and not swinging with it.
That is interesting, yeah, because you really want those bombs to line up into the deck on the turns immediately before you play Blastmaster Boom to minimize the chance of them being drawn. But with the extra one being shuffled in as well already with the Clockwork Goblin, I think you're fairly secure that you're going to get a full Dr. Blastmaster Boom package by the time you drop that card on 7 or 6, as it may be with the coin.
Yep. Also for Jarla, it's important to note that Harrison Jones also came in for RDU, so swinging the Wrench Caliber is fairly mandatory
Right.
the turn you're going to play it. RDU exercising the
School of Psycho.
Please let me get a Blink Fox process here.
Yeah. No, wrong 3-3.
You'll take it.
This guy's
Just please a way to stop this. This 1-3 is just terrorizing him right now.
Yeah.
It seriously does not seem like much, but 4 turns later, that was an Eviscerate, and it's still there. I really want a double snip-snap.
Really?
There's no saps in RDU's deck.
I wonder.
You've raised an excellent point. Is the payoff better than just 6 Boombots 1 turn earlier, though?
I think
He just drew a Warpath.
I think it's likely.
That's lethal.
Yes, but something else to consider is the timing of the Blastmaster with Warpath. A lot of times you want those two in tandem.
Yeah. Still happens a turn sooner, whether you're doing them in tandem or not, if you still have a coin in your hand.
5 damage. It's going to be a 5/7 that Death Rattle summons 4 1/1s. There is no way I'm not playing 2 steps here.
All right.
I'm glad Jarla took the time to think about it, but I'm also very glad that he landed on this conclusion. That Blastmaster Boom damage is going to happen at some point, pretty much no matter what. Ooh.
This Vendetta keep has not worked out for our hero, RDU. Just sat there choking a space in his hand. Could have been something that allowed him to fight more efficiently in the early game. I definitely understand it. I'm not blaming him for it. I'm just saying in this particular sample size of 1, it's looked pretty miserable.
I wonder.
What's the scheme at right now?
5, 6.
You just shuffle Ziliaxes in?
Quickly.
Didn't catch it. 4?
Yeah.
I ticks 5 at the end of this turn.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I honestly just don't think that he has an option other than to do that. He just desperately needs ways to keep defending himself. The life total for Jarla is just a complete irrelevance to RDU at this point. Eventually, if his game plan comes to fruition, he gets there. Goal 1, stop what's happening. That's not happening right now.
Right. Needs removal options. That's not it. That's not it either.
Perhaps.
Still can be.
I wonder
So much is this worth to you?
Ouch.
So now is Jarla looking towards that immediate setup for the Blastmaster Boom Warpath? He's very likely. I guess the Ziliaxes in the deck do change the equation a little bit, but he's pretty favored to be in a position where Blastmaster Boom Warpath on 9 is going to have a above average lethal chance on the opponent.
I like this.
A Warpath now, take care of it.
You get to have 4 1/1s to play afterwards. And you're at 7. Go.
Okay.
Also don't occupy spaces for boombots that are basically foregone by the 4 presence you have in the immediacy. And RDU has to check these. I want to Novice Engineer and evolve it to see if I get a mech.
Ooh. Bronze Gatekeeper. Ursatron.
Ursatron, that's the one right there. Yeah, you found. Oh, that's the perfect. I'm hyped about that one. It's a pretty ugly looking trade, but honestly, I think that's just the best. There's 3 bombs in RDU's deck, correct? I'm not crazy? Clockwork Goblin, 2 Red Caliber.
Yep, sounds right to me.
Oh, that's way better. No life gain. Some life gain. Please evolve this Novice Engineer. I want to see the Ursatron.
Do it.
Do it. Boo. booing the Snip Snap more than I'm booing RDU's play. Snip Snap has made this game a nightmare for RDU. These turns are not going to be kind.
Good news, RDU, you healed to 15 that turn. Bad news, RDU, that.
Oh, now you show up, Blink Fox and Henge Clan. I get it.
Yep.
Rain of Toads.
It's kind of interesting.
The problem with the Rain of Toads is that, looking at Jarla's hand,
Yeah. Yeah.
Think.
I don't think Siphon Soul Go is going to end up being a winning line for RDU. Maybe he disagrees, though.
Swiftly.
nice outcome. Not nice outcome. Reasonable outcome.
Yeah, the one caveat I will give to the nice outcome with the hitting the Henchclan Burglar is that because it hit it for exactly 2, it kind of now sets the remaining bombs up for optimal damage to face.
Yeah, you wanted the chain hits on it.
Yeah. And another bomb drawn for Jarla. It takes us up to 4 in the deck if this gets played.
Can he ever Omega Devastator his own boom bots?
Oh
like,
my God.
I'm not even kidding.
All right, let's see what the first one does before we go down. Okay.
Oh,
all right,
my.
now we actually have to think about it.
I'm ripping one of them. I'm ripping one of them. If that hits for 4, I am ripping the other.
I don't think I've ever done this. Is it actually just a minion for a Mega Devastator?
I think it's an enemy minion, but
Oh, okay.
I actually
Okay,
don't
okay.
know.
I have definitely never done this.
I've never played it with 10 mana and only having my own minions in play. I've actually never encountered that. I mean,
I feel like we must have done it. Just
Oh!
not noticed. Oh, okay. It was about time. That was 4 bombs in the deck. RDU had dodged them for the entire game. Like, for perspective, there was as many Zilliaxes in his deck as there were bombs, and he continued to draw Zilliaxes and not bombs. So he was dodging bullets for a while there, but eventually they came back to bite him.
I feel for RDU. And to me, this is a great way to highlight exactly what the Grandmasters is all about, which is the players just care so much about winning. It's like not about the standings at this point. It's not about records. It's not about prizing, any of that. They want to win competitive matches. And the fact that RDU at the end of that had that look where he's like, what happened? Like, that tells you how much he cares about the game. And that's what I truly respect.
He was tweeting on that exact subject not that long ago. I think just before the Europe broadcast started this morning, our time. He was tweeting in a discussion with a couple of other people on Twitter saying that, you know, he doesn't really understand why players in his position wouldn't be motivated. You know, he's always going to play 100%. He always wants to win. And it's not even necessarily about, you know, the $500 you can pick up for a single game of Hearthstone. It's just more about just competitive spirit, and he really wants to be the best, really wants to win every game he's encountered with.
Indeed. But he did manage to steal game 1 in that one as well. I think game 1 is not favorable for RDU in the situation that's at hand. I think game 2, it's a lot closer. But I think he's got a chance for it. And now we're going to game 3, and if he's not under the same kind of pressure he was under that game, you can see where the tools can start to work, but it's the pressure that really beats him up in that situation. He has to have removal if he's going to take care of those spots.
Yeah, for sure. It really does very much flip on its head. It's a really weird thing to look at of like the rogue starts off in an aggressive position and just with a few card swaps can just completely flip the matchup on its head. It also goes to speak to just how flexible a deck Bomb Warrior is, where Jarla, without changing a single card, is actually able to completely flip his strategy on its head as well.
Much different opening hand for RDU, and he does have coin in this situation as well.
Well,
This looks familiar.
it does indeed. There is one key difference, though.
What's that?
There is no shield slam in Jarla's hand this time.
Ah. Other key difference is that RDU has Evil Miscreant. Don't believe you had that last time.
I don't think so either.
It was Blink Fox?
Yeah.
Or something to the like.
I actually don't think he had anything. He drew the Blink Fox off the
you're
top
right. Yeah.
afterwards.
Quickly.
Just all in it.
I think that's what he's calculating right now.
Says no this time.
I strangely don't mind this. I actually quite like this.
Explain.
Well, think about how he lost last game. Just got beat up. This gives him a draw for Hench Clan Burglar and Blink Fox to be tempo. And at the same time offers him the ability, if he wants, to just be able to clear this off. Coin Miscreant Lackey, I think, is better than just Coin Miscreant.
I wonder.
Stop the damage from happening. That's the goal.
Oh, up to no good.
Well, one of these cards gets put in your deck.
So now the kind of decision point you face when you're trying to be aggressive with Warrior. There you go. Still turn damage to a minion. It was possible. The kind of decision you have to make where it's like, right, chill when you get into play. I have to be the aggressor this game.
Ooh. Ways to do things are good. That's been pretty much the missing point for RDU the whole time. I think there's a lot less fear of Dynamatic in a situation like this. Your opponent already has an Augmented Relic in play.
I wonder.
You are free to figure out how the board tension sways back and forth and build towards the best turns.
Oh, up to no good.
RDU going back to lackeys. Ethereal again.
Yeah, issue here is if he pokes with the dagger, obviously he's taking a lot of damage. If you poke with the Miscreant, Dynamatic becomes potentially a problem again.
Yes.
I think either way, you can look at either having something in play or saving some health. And for Jarla, I think it's about ignoring that, playing your thing, and hitting him in the face.
Agree with all of those things.
You know what I've realized I like about Bomb Warrior so much? It's very Druid-esque. Of the old days. You just, no matter what it is, you just hit them again.
So instead of Force of Nature Savage Raw, they just draw 3 bombs off the top and they die.
Yeah, that's 14.
So trading preemptively never improves your Dynamatic, right? No matter what happens, a 1/1 is alive on the board at the end of the turn.
Yes.
The danger is if it's an Evil Miscreant and you're scared of him. Are you then doing things with that Evil Miscreant?
Witchy Lackey, bouncing it back, etc.
Yep.
I think just the pressure you have in play is enough.
Agreed. Just trying to give some justification to the missing 4 damage here, but
I think there's some merit to like a Wrench Caliber turn and going for a large Dynamatic setup.
okay.
I think that always has a lot of merit to it. That to me is like one of the prime plays this deck has, is Wrench Caliber into Dynamatic.
How about an Acolyte Warpath full clear?
You hold my interest. However, I'm much more interested in hitting RDU.
Same. That's where I started. I was trying to justify my way out of it.
He really needs ways to activate these Vendettas. Pickpocket is a way to activate Vendetta.
Raiding Party is too, it just does it a lot slower.
Think.
Wow, I'm actually trying to think of what card I want to take over Pickpocket in this spot. I'm taking this Pickpocket, and I'm launching these Vendettas.
100%.
All right, cards in hand. There's the
Oh.
Wait, hang on a second. Hang on a second.
Come on.
Nope, I don't buy it. I think that's good. That's a good outcome. You wait and see.
Okay. I await with bated breath, Mr. Zamora.
He motioned that dagger, and I was like, maybe a bit much confidence in the Dr. Boom scheme.
Jarla just made Admirable the happiest man in the world, passing up the turn 7 Dr. Boom to do something significantly more aggressive with the Wrench Caliber.
That's turn 6.
Oh, sorry, I'm an idiot. Never mind. That explains a lot.
I was actually kind of upset with that because I thought he was going to hit him in the face.
Then I was wrong on all counts.
I am struggling to find what the proper response to this is, and RDU is clearly in that same territory.
Yep.
I think I just want to start drawing, but you have Shadow Steps in the deck. You know, Shadow Steps help you dig to the Togwaggle Shark with Novice Engineer. Shadow Steps later on become a lot weaker, I think. And so, thinking about Shadow Step, how do I get one? Make one with a Waggle Pick.
Ooh.
Now that would make me happy. However, I do think there is a tremendous amount of justification behind Dr. Boom this turn.
I agree.
You do not need to swing your weapon.
I'm so glad.
Remember, there is the threat of that Harrison that can come into play, though.
Yeah, you didn't see it, though.
Yep, agreed.
So you're playing around a top deck at that point.
Yep.
Definitely not doing that here. Jarla's, he's clearly thinking about it. I mean, Harrison is a big play in this spot.
It's an interesting thing to talk about in terms of like tech card mentality as well, because your brain will always tell you just to not, you don't want to get got, right? Like you don't want to get hit by the tech card. Your brain always tries to convince you that it's better to play around that scenario, so you know you don't get wrecked by this card that someone's chosen to put in there.
I hope you like my invention.
You know,
Shadow Steps galore now for
the-
RDU.
the more I'm seeing this Cairn, the more I'm not buying it. Like, what is this doing here? That is never getting
I hope
played.
you like my invention.
RDU continuing to manage to not explode. There it is.
One bomb left in the deck. Yeah,
Just launch it, buff up that Edwin.
The Brotherhood shall prevail.
thing's huge.
So that is vanilla Dr. Boom at this point.
One bomb left in the deck.
Yep.
2 Wrench Caliber swings.
Okay.
Another benefit of using the Eviscerate, cut into shield slams.
Okay,
Yes,
then.
for sure.
Eight on Togwaggle scheme.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
Oh, this is rough.
Oh, I love that music.
Pain, speak to me.
Gone fishing.
Okay.
So the question here is another card draw versus 3 damage onto the Edwin. I think as you're approaching 10 mana, you're hoping you find a natural answer to that, but that's 1 turn away. Now the Karen's getting played.
Take heart, young one. The Earth Mother is near.
12 is a lot.
12 is a lot in terms of how big that Edwin is, but 12 is not very much when you look at how much health RDU has.
I mean, Jarla's about to not have any if he can't draw something to take care of this. Second Militia Commander.
That'll do it.
Defend the gates!
But then you'd have to rather concede because of the Edwin.
You're not wrong.
Oh!
Yeah, I'm going to call this out. I was going to suggest it. It is, if you feel you are that far behind, it is the gambit that you can take, and it's a gambit that pays out. RDU can't believe it, but he does now. He is still able to re-establish from this position. He does still have the greedier deck. He still has plenty of threats to go. He has a huge Togwaggle scheme that's now approaching double figures. He's still fine.
I wonder.
I did this.
Pocket Galaxy, I'm interested.
Uh-huh. I know what you mean. Would you like to explain to the boys and girls at home what you mean?
Well, there's 2 ways to look at it. Number 1, make your Togwaggles and Sharks cheap right now. Number 2, Togwaggle scheme a bunch of stuff into your deck and make it cost 1.
Yeah.
Swiftly.
I am interested in big tempo plays as well. I'm interested in Big Bad Voodoo. I'm interested in Sound the Bells specifically because of the Ziliax in hand. But I am very interested in the Luna's Pocket Galaxy.
I think Big Bad Voodoo is probably the most sensible.
It's responsible.
It's responsible is a good word. When I play this version of a deck, if I just feel like I want to play some Rogue, but there's too much Warrior on the ladder, and I end up putting schemes and stuff in my deck, I am very irresponsible playing the deck. I just, in secure positions, I just start finding the dumbest win condition I could think of, and then executing it. It's delightful. But at this level, with this much on the line, even as we approach the end of the season for 2 middle-of-the-table players, yeah, you should probably do the responsible thing.
Just like becoming an adult. As you reach the later stages and the higher echelons, responsibility is important. Hearthstone. Adulting. Welcome to Grandmasters.
I'm not really thinking we'll be using any of these strap lines in Season 2, Admirable. You're not selling me.
Nice battle in there for Jarla. I think he found the best way to try to take advantage of that. But that means opportunity to RDU to do the same thing back.
Yeah. And this game really does come down to that brawl rip from Jarla. And yeah, you can call it what you want. You know, you can say, oh, he got lucky, he won the 1 in 3 or whatever it was. But to even see that, to recognize that it's a possibility and recognize that it was his best probability of winning the game, I think is something that you have to pay heed to. And he spotted it very quickly. Yeah, Admirable was sat here going double Militia Commander. And yeah, that looked pretty solid, but it's a game, that's a turn that just continues to leave you behind on board, taking damage. He went for a play that 1/3 of the time gets him out of a pretty sticky spot.
That Dinomatic is massive. And there were 3 different ways it could have come up this turn. From Omega Assembly,
Yes.
from the hero power, or just from the deck.
I was really hoping for the all 3 then after you said that. Like it was just an option from Delivery Drone. He got one off the Omega Assembly and then he just played the original one anyway.
Wow.
Oh, look, a Harvest Golem. That's a 2/4.
Kinda, yeah. You know, Sottle, the difference, though, is that if you deal it 4 damage all at once, it doesn't kill it.
Correct. Callbacks.
Light the fuses!
Also, interesting to note that Jarla's life total has been dwindling. I really haven't paid as much attention to that as I should have.
Oh, yeah. It's been going down. Getting hit in the head with a 12/12 will do that to a man.
Whoa! Leroy Shadow Step
Doesn't want to get Leroy stepped that turn, yeah.
Respect.
He's saying, I kind of feel like I'm turning the corner here. If I can not die this turn, I feel like I can climb my way back out of this.
RDU desperately needs to find Togwaggle. I repeat, RDU desperately needs to find Togwaggle.
How big is this boom scheme now? I'm starting to get 5% worried that it might be relevant.
I believe it's at 7. Yep.
Good catch.
11 for the Togwaggle scheme. And 7 for the Dr. Boom scheme. And reminder text, upgrades each turn!
Quickly think.
I'm looking at the Ziliax and these Goblin Lackeys, and I'm wondering when.
When what?
Well, just wondering when and how we're going to use them.
I'm just wondering when.
RDU's Lackeys have been pretty lackluster, I think.
Yeah. Lackluster?
Scheme expended. Disappointed. Responsible. If you only drew Ziliaxes for the rest of the game, do you think you'd win?
Yes. No. Maybe.
What-
I'm sold on maybe.
What would you need to convince you that only Ziliaxes would win you the game
See,
afterwards?
like, initial reaction, brain says, get Ziliax, good card, draws good card every turn, good equals win. The problem is that you're facing down Dr. Boom, who is going to generate potentially huge mechs and make huge tempo swings each turn. And spending 5 mana on a 3/2 each turn, I think just incrementally loses to what the Dr. Boom is doing on the other side of the board each turn.
Precision. Perfection.
We found the turn.
So yeah, on further reflection, I'm going to go with a pretty solid no.
I imagine you're fairly interested in killing the Ziliax with an Omega Devastator. Just really don't want to give RDU more HP.
Really?
It kills the Ziliax and it deals 5 damage effectively.
Yeah. RDU's got himself back up to 28. I'm not sure how much of an immediate concern just health total pressure, bomb pressure really is to Jarla at this point.
I mean, it's an incremental thing too, right? I mean, RDU's deck is the biggest mini now is a 5/5.
Yeah.
That's I don't know. Snipsnap does start to answer the board quite nicely as well. Okay, I can get behind that. That's just very efficient. Okay, have your 5 life. Trading damage for massive amounts of efficiency is definitely a thing.
Right. RDU going fishing. Catches himself a Dr. Boom scheme.
Not anymore.
You told me earlier before we came on air that you've been messing around with 1 mana Spirit Bomb. And that it was very good, but the rest of Warlock was quite bad.
Oh, yeah. Like, I've played some Zoo. When you start slinging some stuff and they, like, play a 3/4, and you're like, Spirit Bomb it, and then things.
So what if you get to have 1 mana Spirit Bomb without having to play Warlock?
It's... You gotta have things to do.
Okay.
It's a pure tempo tool. You are trading your own life for efficiency at that point, rather than the Ziliax situation I suggested the previous turn. So you need to be able to follow up.
Yeah. Extra arms did seem to be the most responsible choice again. We're going to go back to that word.
Yeah, I mean, I have a 0/3 stealth in play. I'd like that to be a 4/7 stealth. I mean, picture a shark with extra arms. They're scary enough as it is.
Yeah, I don't really want to.
2 bombs going in. And RDU now is officially in the race against time. He needs Togwaggle. That's the only draw he cares about.
And the more you look at it, even though it didn't pay off directly in terms of what was in RDU's hand, you start to feel like Jarla's decision to just not die to Leroy Jenkins that one turn was quite inspired, because I said it at the time, that was a read where he said, I've turned the corner. I take over the game from this point. If I don't die this turn, I'm in good shape. And what has panned out since that turn is exactly that.
I wonder.
Wish I had full hands.
Mentioned several times, we saw, I believe it was Frozen going Togwaggle's scheme on a Snip Snap, but the key there was that he was doing it when he was ahead in the game and pushing tempo, at which point drawing a Snip Snap every turn and playing, you know, 1 huge guy or 3 smaller guys was just enough to keep him going on tempo for the rest of the game. RDU does not have that luxury. He can't draw a slow minion like Snip Snap every turn. It's just under pressure. At what point is this Dr. Boom coming out to play Admirable? It's been in hand for a long time.
Not yet. You don't do it versus Snip Snap.
Okay,
That is always the...
then.
I've done it once. It was a disaster. Snip Snap basically just gained 26 health. Or, you know, whatever it is.
I agree that Snip Snap very effectively counters the bombs. There is a 7/7 in that equation that I am quite interested in. I like this.
So that's the thing, right? I mean, Jarla could very easily be using this as a defensive tool, thinking that just the pressure that he generates in general is going to be enough, because the Shield Slam's coming out this turn. He's going face, and he's going to make sure he kills all these and hopes Boombots make a big impact. So, yeah, it's not ideal, but I think of his options, it's just the best one he's got. I think the Omega Devastators definitely get better, and that was a pretty ideal outcome as well. The bombs went face, but the damage wasn't there. And now a bomb gets drawn, and that Togwaggle's probably too late,
Well
and so is
played.
that Harrison Jones.
Smart move.
RDU scoops it up, and Jarla takes the 2-1 victory over RDU. He just never found Togwaggle in a way to shuffle it back.
And sometimes that's just going to get you. But I love Jarla's play in a couple of spots in that series. I think first I touched on it there at the end, but the recognition of the Shield Slam, it's a weird looking play. It's a very, very odd dynamic to throw away Shield Slam, which is one of your best removal cards, and to reduce your own board size just to play around a particular card. But I think I called it out at the time. This is a call that says, this is the turn I die. If I don't die this turn, incrementally I just grind out this game. And it's what you saw happen. And then I also love that decision to play Dr. Boom at the end, because I'm with you. Conventional wisdom says you don't play it into a board that has Snip Snap on, because it's just so hard to make it effective. But if you look at the situation he created, on average he put RDU down to around 15 health, and there was a 7/7 in play at the end of the turn. That's a pretty good spot to be in when there's more bomb damage to come off the top, as they ended up doing.
Yeah, that's spot on. It's good recognition just on all fronts. And it sounds like Jarla's ready for an interview. Jarla, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hey, guys.
Hello, and congratulations. So you finished out the season with now an even record, and so that's what I'm going to ask you about. Your thoughts on Grandmaster season overall, you know, some of your standout moments, anything about the matchup. This is your time and your platform, so let it rip.
Yeah, well, the season started kind of well for me. Then I lost 4 matches in a row. I also didn't play perfectly, so yeah, I think I messed up in like 3 series, and it ended up costing me the playoff. Especially the series against Orange, it was like the most intense series I played, I think. And the turn where I played Rebel Bouncer and Doomsayer instead of Frost Nova, that might cost me the playoff spot.
Wow. How do you feel like you played today in this series? Just initial reaction, because we were certainly impressed with a couple of the lines you took throughout the series.
Yeah, today I think I played well overall. I just wasn't sure about the last turn if I could like, I could go for like the Omega Devastator and clear his 1/1s and stuff, and play Boom on almost empty board next turn. But then on the other hand, I felt like if I just play Boom, I never lose. So yeah, I think Boom was correct there.
Yeah, I liked the Boom for what it was worth. Said at the time. Agree with it still.
I wanna notice about the shield slam on your own Eternium over that turn.
Yes.
When did you catch that? Like, at what point in that turn did you look down and go, hey, wait a second, I do have a way to play around the Leroy shenanigans?
Yeah, at that point I felt like if I don't die next turn, I should be able to like outgrind him. Like the time goes, I should be fine. And the only way I could die it was like Leroy Shadow Step. He had second Shadow Step still, Leroy, and I think like double Cobalt Lucky or Eviscerate if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it was like the only way I lose the next turn.
It's about all I got. I think he's played great. I think he's had a good season. I think he can build more going into Season 2. Jarla, well played. And we hope to see you pushing up to the top of the division in Season 2. Well played.
Thank you. See you guys next season.
That does it.
It does. I gotta
Season
say,
1.
it's very satisfying when you hypothesize a player's thoughts and then they just repeat the same thing when you ask them about the question. That is a good feeling.
Yeah, it's a very good feeling.
Yeah.
I think it brings clarity to the fact that I'm very good at telling you what they're going to do and why they did it. I'm not very good at spotting like what to do in general. I know like macro gameplay, and that's about it. A lot of the micro stuff, it gets very tricky. It's very difficult, and a lot of hand reading comes into there. Difficult to hand read when I can just see both players' hands. Tough to have that perspective sometimes. But Jarla is, I think clearly one of the best at it. I think that some of his matches have exemplified that, and some of them, he mentioned some of his mistakes in there. I don't disagree with him. I think sometimes could have gotten more aggressive or what have you on that one. But now our standings are ready. We can take a look at everything that's happened and what's led to this point here for the Grandmasters in Europe. And you can see those are our final playoff cuts. The players in the top 3 in each division have advanced to the finals.
And crucially as well, Fino and Psycho respectively went off to huge leads early on in the season, but 2 players, Kalento and Hunterace, were able to take them down to tiebreaker scenarios. Fino held on to his top spot, but it was Hunterace that ended up taking that top spot in Division B. And I believe we can see what that all means now for the playoff brackets themselves. There you see Fino sitting pretty, picks up his bye in round 1 for finishing first in the group. And Psycho and Bunny Hopper, Psycho coming across from Division B, now have to play off just for the chance to face Fino in that winner's match.
Indeed, and you can see how that bracket's going to pan out. Eliminations and deciders, etc., etc. We are moving towards that global final representation that you were looking to earn. It's what all the weeks have been about, is coming out in triumph and then strutting your stuff at the end of the year in a big international tournament. Looking at the other initial matches that we'll have going up, with Hunterace earning his bye and Kalento and Orange battling for the opportunity to take on Hunterace in that upper side of the bracket.
Yeah, Kalento versus Orange, actually a pretty awesome matchup that I'm looking forward to. 2 absolute legends of the Hearthstone competitive scene going head-to-head just for the right to take on our current world champion. Couldn't have written that script better myself if I'd have tried.
I could not, and so with that, the European Grandmasters comes to a close. Sottle, words, final.
I mean, I haven't been here for most of it, but the parts that I've been a part of, I've enjoyed massively. The parts that I got to watch from home, I've enjoyed massively. I think yourself have done a fantastic job anchoring the broadcast, and everyone that's come in, filling the seat that I wish I could have been in for longer, have done an awesome job filling my shoes as well. So I really enjoy it. I hope we can get bigger and better going on to Season 2, but it's not over yet because we still have those playoffs to come next week to round out the season.
Indeed. I want to give a special thanks to for Darok to being able to show up to help out for Gallen for being able to do the same, and for Lorenda, who came in and stepped in because I got married during Grandmasters. This has been quite a season for me. I'm also in a host role now. Wow, so much has changed in just a few matter of months. But that does it for here in the European broadcast. So for the production, for Sottle, for myself, for everyone here, we are done with Europe. But Americas is coming up. 6 more matches of Hearthstone today as these two chuckleheads are going to be bringing you the action. Stay tuned.